This is Bev, and welcome back to the Path of Currency. In today's video, we have part 2 of the 100 Cemetery maps with using Strongbox and Legion. Except this time, I have no Enrage Strongbox Sextant. The setup is basically the exact same as my last video. I have 8 Mod Cemetary maps. I am using a Polished Legion Scarab, a Gilded Reliquary, Gilded Ambush, and a Gilded Divination Scarab. For my compasses, I'm using the additional breach, just 4 use on this time, 2 Strongboxes, Beyond, and for my last section I just picked Shrine because I figured it wouldn't mess with the data too much and it will help me clear the maps faster. My tree is the exact same. I have not changed anything, so refer to the last video if you're curious about that. I have finished the next round of 100 maps and here is the in-game loot results. I have the stack decks here, so that's around 230. Here are my diff cards. As you can see, I dropped 4 Brothers Stash and I dropped 0 Brothers Gift. I would attribute this to being extremely unlucky. You can get unlucky, and I was just saying this in my last video. It's pretty likely that you can get 0 Brothers Gift, which is ironically what happened to me. So I've dropped 0 of that and 4 stash. Looking at the math, I should have dropped around 6 of each, but you know, RNG is RNG. I dropped 3 Dragon's Heart, which is rarer than either the Brother Stash or the Brother Gift. As for my uniques, I dropped a few decent uniques like a Diala, some rare uniques down here, but these aren't worth very much. I'm going to corrupt the Shavs later. I dropped 6 jewels again. 4 of these are good. I'm counting all these jewels again at 200 chaos because that's how much the Garage power costs to buy a full set. I corrupted this Poise Prism with an additional arrow. I got 2 Despair Asinith's Touch, plus 1 Power Charge Hubris, Crown of Eyes. I got kind of lucky on my corruptions. Here's my Scarab tab and my invitations. Here is the currency tab. I think I dropped more divines in this test than I did in my last test. I got 18 divines and 15 exalts. I can attribute this to a Legion mob that had a loot pinata on it. It dropped 6 divines and 6 exalts. So without that Legion mob, I would be at 12 divines instead of 18. As for the map return, it was not as good. Without the Enrage Sextant, I dropped around 300 maps instead of 450. So it's definitely noticeable how the Enrage Strongbox affects your maps. Jumping into the spreadsheet, what we have here is on the left, we have the current spreadsheet for my last 100 maps. And on the right, we have my old spreadsheet from my last video. This is using the Enrage Sextant. The only thing that really changed was on the right, I used the Enrage Sextant, and on the left, I did not. I used the Resonating Shrine Sextant. Additionally, I also cheaped out on the Breach Sextant. I did the 4 use instead of the 16 use, so I lost 1 breach every map, but I saved around 1300 chaos. So in total, our cost for not running Enraged and not running the Elevated Breach was 30 divines, and the cost for running both of those added an additional 33 divines, so it like doubled the cost. Now, scrolling to the revenue, this is where you can start to see a difference. So for the non-enraged setup, I made around 8,000 chaos in general currency, and for the enraged setup, I made 11,000. So that's around a 3,000 chaos difference. And keep in mind that Sextant cost 6,000 chaos, so we need to make up 6,000 chaos for the Sextant to be worth it. So that's around 3,000 from the general currency. The map returns, I made 1,200 chaos with no enraged, and with the enraged, I made 1,800, so that's another 600 chaos. And other than that, not much here is affected by enraged, only the Brothers Gift. This is where the issue comes into play. So Brothers Gift is very RNG heavy, and in my most recent test where I did not run enraged, I dropped 0 Brothers Gift. Now, I don't want to create a false narrative that because I didn't run Enrage Sextant, I didn't drop any Brother's Gift, and that is why. There's a lot of reasons why I didn't drop any Brother's Gift. One, I was just really unlucky. The last thing we can look at here is the union cards. So I dropped 529 unions without Enrage, and with Enrage, I dropped 825. So if we divide 825 divided by 529, you can see that that's 55% more multiplier, basically. Based on the union drop rates in these 2 tests, you can basically say that the Enraged Strongbox gives you a 50% more loot multiplier to all of your maps if you're running the same amount of Strongboxes that I ran. Overall, I still don't know if the Sextant is worth it or not. What I would like to highlight is this test I ran on 426 using Enraged Strongbox. In this test, I noted where all of my Brother's Gift dropped from, and you can see I did not drop a single Brother's Gift from a Strongbox monster. So basically, in this test, the Enraged Strongbox Sextant actually gave me 0 extra Brother's Gifts because no Brother's Gifts dropped from a Strongbox monster. Alright, going back to the spreadsheet for this video. Down here, I have this box which has the comparison of no Enrage and Enrage in a simple place to see. So in this box down here, I have the total profit in chaos for the non-Enrage setup and the Enrage setup. As you can see, the general currency, there was like a 3000 chaos differential. The map returns was a 600 chaos, and the unions was like a 200 chaos differential. The major outlier here is the Brother's Gift, because I dropped 0 in my last 100 maps, and I dropped 4 in the previous test with the Enrage. As I said earlier, in the test where I tracked where my Brother's Gift came from, none of them came from the Enrage Strongbox. I don't remember where all these came from in my last 100 maps with Enrage. I do know not all of them came from the Strongboxes. So the price of using the Enrage Sextant for 25 maps is around 6,000 chaos. So you need to make at least 6,000 chaos in profits for it to be worth to run this. In this test where I have here, I actually made more than 6,000 chaos in profits between these two maps. So it would be worth it to run for this specific test. This gets really complicated with Brothers Gifts though, because it's such a high variance drop card that it's hard to tell how much the Brothers Gift is affecting your overall profit from using the Enraged Strongbox Sextant. If you find you're getting a majority of your Brothers Gifts from Strongboxes, then it's probably worth it. But for me personally, I found that I was getting a lot of my Brothers Gifts from League mechanics and just from general mapping. Not a lot were coming from the Strongbox. Obviously there's a few. And another thing was that you would notice a lot more Divines, a lot more Sextants dropping, but I don't think the extra loot makes up for the upfront cost of the Sextant. Overall, I would not recommend using the Sextant as a solo player. If you're group playing or you have really high Magicfind, maybe it'll be worth it. I'm sure it's worth it in group play, but as a solo player, I would not recommend using the Sextant at its current price. So I can talk about the overall strategy now. Basically, I spent 30 divines and I made 84 divines, which is a lot better ROI than my last test, where the ROI was like 80%. This is because the initial investment was way lower. Our divines per hour is pretty much the same. If I drop 4 Brothers Gift, my divines per hour goes up to about 6.5 divines per hour, which is a lot better. If you run these maps faster, it goes up to almost 9. So there's a lot of ways to optimize this setup. One way just being get good and don't drop 0 Brothers Gift, because that's what happened to me. Anyway, I was pretty unlucky, but I am happy to have seen the difference between using Enraged and not Enraged. Hopefully this data helps someone, and thanks for watching the video. Peace. Alright, and here is my first map. I'm going to look for the boss and then pop open everything in the map. Basically, that's how I ran it last time. That's how I do it this time. Always, I'll be collecting the union cards. It'll be really nice to see the difference in unions between this and using Enrage. Always really bad at finding the boss. I did sell my Maxwell Greed's Embrace for 2 divine. The way I do these after killing the boss is just finish the rest of the map. And then I work my way backwards, except I opened that breach by accident. So I'm gonna have to go back up.
Take a chance.
Right now we're just looking for the rest of the altar. Seems like it, so I will start working my way backwards, starting from up here.
little sliver of anarchy. The lost legacy of a forgotten empire.
Legion's also nice to have because it gives so many buffs. That is, headhunter buffs. I usually use Legion to help me kill the Beyond boss because without Legion buffs I usually die. Speaking of that, it's right here.
When I'm ready, I'm not afraid.
A little sliver of anarchy.
But it is noticeable that the boxes do drop less general loot.
Take a chance.
I'm pretty interested to see what the results will be at the end of this farm.
That's power, son. That's power.
Just gotta follow. What's a follow on my Twitch? Be sure to follow over there if you want to catch me live. I don't have a streaming schedule yet, but I want to make one. Alright, and that is the entire map cleared. If you watched the end, thank you, and peace.